In this video, we uncovered the devastating story of Maddie Clifton, a young girl whose disappearance gripped an entire community with fear and hope. But when the truth finally came to light, it revealed a tragedy so heartbreaking and shocking that it left lasting scars on everyone who heard it. This is the tragic case of Maddie Clifton, Florida, in Jacksonville. This is where we find Maddie, 8-year-old Madeline Ray Clifton. Their names were Steve, Sheila, Jesse, and she lived with them. Maddie spends a lot of time outside doing things because she loves sports, especially basketball. You couldn't keep her inside. Her only wish was to play with everyone all the time. Aside from her love of sports, she was also very good at dance and music, especially the piano. The next minute, she was ready to play football on the pitch. The next, she was acting on stage as a poised and graceful ballerina. Her family said that she was kind and caring from a very young age, which made her stand out. Anyone who looked lonely or unhappy when they were by themselves made her crazy. It was always possible to count on Maddie to walk right over, introduce herself, and make sure they were included. November 3rd, 1998, this was the Lakewood neighborhood on the south side of Jacksonville. Like always, Maddie was outside at 5 p.m. That day, she chose to play golf, and she hit balls all the way down the street. Everyone who lived in the area was close. Everybody knew each other, and Maddie often knocked on people's doors to ask if other kids could come out to play. Sheila called Maddie and Jesse inside for dinner at 6:30 p.m. When Jesse walked in by herself, she said she wasn't with Maddie and didn't know where she was. Everyone she would usually play with didn't know either. Not a single parent had seen her either. They called out and looked around for a short time before Sheila called 911.
Her name is Maddie. She goes, it's Madeline.
What's her last name?
Clifton.
How old is she?
She's 8 years old.
Where was she playing at around the...
Around the house here. She had on a pair of shorts and a red T-shirt.
When's the last time anybody saw her?
4:30 to 5 o'clock. About 5:30 was the last time we saw her. And I was letting the kids play out here for a little while, and then she disappeared.
By late that night, almost everyone in the area had flashlights out. You could only hear people calling Maddie's name over and over. As the night grew darker and the temperature dropped, more people joined the search. People who lived nearby said that Maddie was their daughter, sister, or friend. This really hit home because there were so many other young kids in the area who played together all the time. It got lighter and a little warmer as the sun rose, and it made my mind and view clearer and more open. Sad to say, there were no signs anywhere. There were no clothes or other things that were connected to Maddie. After 24 hours, people who lived there said it felt like a show. People found you when you weren't at work or school. Coming and going, cars were stopped. There were calls for the National Guard to check the sewers, trash, open manhole covers, and miles of woods and ponds. Soon, the FBI joined the case. There was a $100,000 prize, and people's houses were being turned upside down. A guy named Larry, who lived 5 doors down from Clifton, was quickly identified as one of Maddie's neighbors. It looked like he might have been one of the last people to see her, but they kept coming back to him. He told the cops that he was in his yard chipping golf balls. Around the corner from his house, he saw Maddie doing the same thing as him. He never saw her again after she left to get more golf balls. Officers talked to him about 10 times, and one time they talked to him for 8 hours. In 2 different cases, almost 20 years ago, Larry had been arrested for battery. There were no longer any charges in either case. He said he had nothing to hide, even though he had failed a lie detector test. He even said he would hand over everything and give them any samples they wanted. It's likely that I did it. I'm 45 years old. I play with kids, and I've been in trouble with the law before. He said, that makes me a suspect. The police had talked to every neighbor, but they had talked to 6 people more deeply. They did search the neighborhood for 4 days, but then stopped. From then on, they focused on following leads that took them outside the area. Lieutenant Mark Foxworth, a murder detective with the police, said they had no proof that someone had taken her. This is not being looked at as a kidnapping or a right now. It would have been easy for the child to leave. We are not sure at this time, but as time goes on, it looks more likely that there was foul play. He said it had been a week since Maddie was last seen, and that a neighbor across the street was about to find something very bad. Josh Phillips, 14, and his family had been looking for Maddie day and night. The 2 kids played together a lot.
Josh, Hey. Hi. So she's across the street, and then she's also from across the street. Oh my God.
Missy, his mother, had been in her thoughts as she walked by his room. She looked inside and saw that it was a mess with lots of trash. He couldn't sleep like this. She had to stop him. She then got a bag and began to clean up. Maddie's missing persons poster was on one of the tables next to his bed. She saw a wet spot on the floor as she picked up things from Josh's waterbed. For a few days, Missy had been smelling something off. This had to be the source of her smell, water dripping. It was making the area damp, which made it smell awful. When she raised the mattress, she saw that the frame was breaking down. Why in the world did he sleep on this? It was clear that the bed was broken, so she began taking things off of it to fix it. She saw a small sock wrapped around the frame. She tried to pull it out, but it got stuck. She got on her knees and looked under the bed. A small foot was in front of her before she jumped back in fear. She said that her eyes knew what she was seeing and what it all meant, but her brain was having a hard time putting the pieces together. Missy was scared and ran out the front door, straight to a police officer, and pulled him upstairs. Tape was up everywhere in minutes, and Missy's house was full of people. That very moment, she came across Maddie Clifton's dead body. It was under the bed of her 14-year-old son. As her tiny body was being taken away, her hand was found holding the frame. The cops had been to the Phillips house more than once and had also noticed the strange smell, but everyone thought it was because Josh had a lot of birds as pets.
A neighbor calls police to her home across the street from Maddie's home. She's made a gruesome discovery in her 14-year-old's bedroom. A body is stuffed in his waterbed.
As soon as word got out that a body had been found, a prayer group formed on the street. People in the area, including neighbors and friends, then watched a TV news conference where they said they had found the 8-year-old. People who lived there said it felt very sad and thick in the air, and you can really feel it in the pictures. Everyone had a bad day. Bernie de la Rionda, a former lawyer who has since retired, said that this was a terrible murder that everyone in Jacksonville at the time will always remember. In history, it was one of the worst killings ever. There's no question about it. It was something everyone talked about. No one was surprised when a girl who was reported missing turned out to be dead. People brought Maddie boxes of flowers, food, and signs for missing people to her house. There were plenty of people who wanted to help no matter what they could offer.
We found Maddie Clifton this morning at about 7:30 a.m. She was dead.
Sheriff Nat Glover also had a hard time keeping his feelings in check, but the search had to change from looking for a missing person to looking into a murder. You have to put your feelings aside. Maddie had been hit with a baseball bat and stabbed all over her body and in the throat before being stuffed under the waterbed in the bedroom. There was still the knife and baseball bat lying around. Her pants and shorts had been taken off and were found next to her body, but there were no signs of. The Phillips family picked up their son at the police station. Even though Missy was there, the Cliftons were still at home, hoping and praying to God that everything was wrong. This made her cry. Steve told his son to quickly and honestly tell the truth. Josh told them what he thought had happened while his dad was next to him. He didn't say he wasn't guilty of killing her. Maddie came to his door and asked to play with him. She had done this many times before, so it wasn't anything unusual. Josh said she wouldn't leave, even though he told her he had to do his work. He finally said yes, but he told her he could only be outside for a short time because his dad was coming home soon. He said he didn't want to break the rules because he was afraid of his angry and heavy-drinking dad. Josh said they began playing baseball in his backyard at 5:15 p.m. by the pool. During one play, she threw the ball, and when he hit it back, it hit her in the face and cut her eye. He said Maddie screamed and jumped around, and he pulled her inside so hard that some of her clothes came off. She was upset, but he was afraid of getting in trouble. He hit Maddie in the head with the baseball bat, which knocked her out. She was pushed under his bed. It looked like nothing had happened when he went downstairs. Steve, Josh's dad, came home, and they talked for a while before Josh went back upstairs. She was groaning under the bed, so he took the mattress off and pulled her back out. He used a pocket knife to cut her throat twice and stabbed her 7 times in the chest. After that, he pushed her back under his bed, where she stayed for 6 days. Police officer David Chase worked as an evidence technician for 16 years. He said this was one of the worst murder scenes he had ever seen. From what he saw, it looked like what Josh had said about her being alive when he came upstairs was true. She was hit 3 times in the head before being squished in that small space. She lived until she was pulled out and stabbed to death. Josh was young, so the cops didn't tell everyone right away that he had been arrested. Only his family knew. She was shocked and said, "That's not how he is. He's never done anyone any harm. The only thing that had been different about her son was that he had been a little quieter than usual during the week that Maddie wasn't there. But she said that was normal for a 14-year-old boy. Moody sometimes anyway, and whose friend had just disappeared. So, was that really something that should have set off alarms? She thought, no. All of this was already terrible, but Maddie would always knock on Josh's door because she didn't want him to be alone and would always go out of her way to make him feel better. About 2 years ago, the Phillips family came into the area. Justin and Jesse were in the front garden, as seen on Josh's camera video.
Then there's a neighbor from across the street.
Josh!
Hey!
Hi.
So she's across the street, and then she's also from across the street.
They were just having fun by messing around with his puppy and each other. In fact, there were many signs that he felt nothing but good about Maddie. What little was known about Josh. Things were fine at the time. From what I've heard, there were never any alarm bells. It was clear that he was much quieter and kept to himself. He did well in school, though, and liked to read books and play computer games. His birds were his favorite pets, and he had never been in any kind of danger.
I'm here to announce the arrest of Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips.
The head of Josh's school said when everything came out, he said that the kids couldn't understand why he would do something like that. They say Josh. Josh. It sounds like they say his name 3 or 4 times. They don't believe it. There's nothing about this that makes you think he would do what he's accused of. The Phillips family lived next door to a neighbor who always let his 8-year-old son play with Josh. He told me he was a good kid. He always said, "Yes, sir," or "No, sir." I thought that everyone agreed that this was completely shocking. Her mom, Sheila, was a lot like that. She did know Josh, and she never once thought that Maddie's friendship with him might be unsafe. Afterward, Josh said that his father used drugs and alcohol and hurt both him and his mother. He said his dad had a lot of rules and didn't like other kids. Going over there when he wasn't there, Missy told him she never knew why, but he hated girls the most. She said she had prayed a lot to have a boy because she was afraid Steve would not like a girl at all. Josh told me that I could hide from him if I did something wrong. I did not want him to understand. Then what took place? I thought there was no way back. Missy said, "I'd hear people say so many times, 'What's wrong with those people? Why didn't they see that or this?' Because I didn't notice anything strange about it. That night, I got home from work. My house was fine. When you're a parent, you start to doubt yourself. Was it too easy on you? Was my rules too strict? What did I forget?" During the search for Maddie, a patrol officer said he had talked to Josh the day before. Maddie was found in the bedroom where she had been hiding. He said that he was very cool. He was sitting on the bed and petting his dog. The fact that police were in his house didn't make him feel anything. It's scary to think about it now. Even though his street was full of people looking for the 8-year-old late at night, he was asleep right on top of her. She was put to rest on November 14th, and everyone in the streets was holding hands to show their love for the family. A line of yellow flowers lay behind the cars as they went by. There were lots of people, purple balloons, and yellow flowers all around.
As you are aware, Joshua Phillips, age 14, has been arrested and is in custody at the Juvenile Detention Center. He was arrested for the murder of Maddie Clifton, which occurred on November the 3rd, 1998. This Thursday, the case will be presented to the Duval County Grand Jury. I will urge a first-degree murder indictment be returned. He will be tried as an adult.
After 5 days, on November 19th, a grand jury returned a charge of first-degree murder. Harry Shorstein, the state attorney, said that the 14-year-old would be tried as an adult. Harry Shorstein said the people of Jacksonville should be sure to have all the resources they need. Making sure the person who killed Maddie Clifton is caught will be my office's main goal. The killing of this little girl has shocked me and everyone else in our community. Judge Charles Arnold changed the trial because of all the attention before the trial in Jacksonville. Josh Phillips would be in court a year later. Their defense team made him look like someone who lived in a house where he had to be careful, fearful of doing anything wrong, beaten and scared of his father so much that when Maddie got hurt, it made him go crazy. They said Maddie's death was either an accident or an act of murder. Josh Phillips is not a monster, but he did something that started out as a mistake and got worse as he became more and more scared and crazy. His lawyer said that his team didn't call a single witness, and Josh didn't say anything at all. He told the judge what he said had happened that day, but the government said his story never made sense and never would. What he meant was that this was an accident at first because of the physical evidence and the way we looked at all the data. They said, "We never believed that." They said that there was no proof that he had ever played softball with her, and the autopsy didn't back up what he said. He said he hit her in the eye with the ball there. They said again that this didn't make sense when he said he dragged her inside and took off her clothes. She didn't have any sand or dirt on her. Also, there was no blood in his backyard or on the stairs that led to his room. This made it look like Maddie wasn't hurt before she went into his room. The prosecutor also said that Josh was seen watching pornography before the murder in front of his PC. There was proof that she had not been sexually assaulted, but they still wanted to talk about how everything seemed to fit together. This made them think that the killing was planned ahead of time. He got her to come into the house so he could hurt her. The judge ruled after a tough hearing.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment.
Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips, it is the sentence of this court that you be confined in prison without the benefit of parole for the rest of your natural life.
Josh was given a life term with no chance of parole. He was given the prison number J11775 when he was 15 years old.
We've always taken the position that the correct approach to juvenile crime and to crime prevention is to deal aggressively with the very serious juvenile offenders.
Josh tried to get his conviction overturned in 2002, but it was confirmed. Maddie's name was still being said everywhere as the years went by. There is now a memorial garden at her school. It was thought to be the best way to honor someone who loved playing outside and getting other kids to play with them and make friends. Josh said, "Man, it really stinks." While he was in jail, "I missed a few things. The moment I stepped foot here, I asked myself, what did she miss? I was living in a dream world where nothing had happened. I used that as a defense for everything when I was a kid. I never chose not to pay attention to it. I did it now. I've changed a lot. This has helped me understand the pain of almost everyone. It's become very easy for me to fully understand how someone else feels and really feel what they're feeling. It made me a better person." After the Supreme Court ruled in 2012 that juveniles should not be sentenced to life in prison, Josh's punishment and many others were thrown into question. In 2017, Josh went back to court to get a new term. David Chase, a former evidence technician from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, talked about how Maddie was found as the evidence was read out loud again. Josh looked down and covered his eyes. On the stand, Josh talked to Maddie's family for about 5 minutes.
I've wanted to say this for a very long time, and I'm grateful that this chance to do so in person has arrived. I don't pretend to know or understand your pain or to grasp the void that I've created in your lives. I can say this: I do understand pain. I have become quite intimate with suffering. Growing up in prison, I've seen many dark things, and I've been to some dark places. Many times throughout this journey, I came dreadfully close to ending my life just to escape it all. Guilt, despair, pain, hopelessness, fear, and shame. Each time, I was somehow able to continue on, mostly because I couldn't stand to put my mother to any more trauma. She's been through enough. I did something horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. Even now, after all these years, it is just unfathomable that all this could have occurred. It tears my mind asunder to know that I stole such a precious life from you, from the world. I pray every day that you're able to live your lives in spite of the injury I've caused you. I'm supremely grateful to have an opportunity of physical freedom. Yet any joy that arises in my heart is immediately tempered by the knowledge that these proceedings bring all involved once again, face to face with the horror that occurred in 1998. When I walked the rec yard here in chains, I looked at the sky through mesh wiring, and I thank God repeatedly for giving me hope. My next breath is always devoted to wishing peace and healing upon you all. My hopes, fears, and wishes probably mean nothing to you, but they are there all the same. May you know peace. May you be free from suffering. May God bless you and heal your wounds as much as possible. Thank you, Your Honor.
The family of Maddie also spoke.
During these past few days, I've sat here and in this courtroom and I have listened to all of the classes that the defendant has been able to take. What classes has Maddie been able to take over the past 18 years?
I didn't walk her down the aisle at her wedding, and we were not given the gift of her grandchildren, all taken by one evil, senseless act, and we don't know why.
We were raising our girls in a Christian home where we prayed every day. What we didn't know was that the devil himself had moved in right across the street. The same devil that picked up his flashlight and proceeded to look for her, knowing good and well where she was the whole time.
Now, has he really changed? I hope he has. That's a good thing if he has. I will concede that he's been a model prisoner. The question is, does that guarantee that he will be a model citizen out in society when he has access to pornography? And number two, he has access to young girls. The most troubling thing about this case to me is that we still have that why question out there.
He has all these certificates and he's a monk now and has found peace with his life. And that's great. But I still don't get to talk to Maddie. I still don't get to watch her graduate from high school, watch her graduate from college, watch her get married. I don't get to do any of that. And I just don't think that it's fair. I don't think it's fair that he does. Forgiveness is not in my hands. I am a Christian. I believe in God. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's not my job.
As they wait for a final decision from the judge, Jessie is enjoying her new home.
This is Maddie's room right here.
Her childhood home.
Kept our doors open and would yell at each other through here at the middle of the night and tell each other stories. And she'd end up in my bedroom and, Sissy, can I come sleep with you?
Where she says she plans to stay forever.
This was the best years of my life. And so being here, it just feels like I'm home.
He got another life term, but it could be overturned after 25 years.
Hi, Mr. Phillips. It's a sad day for me. I've had to go through this process, and I'm just trying to do my duty the best I could. And I do wish you well. I think there is an opportunity, even with life in prison, to have a meaningful life. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
Josh made an appeal in 2020, but the Florida Supreme Court turned it down. The now 41-year-old guy went back to court in the middle of 2025 to ask for another review of his sentence, saying that his 25-year mandatory term was over.
Right now it's 6. This is a look at the new mugshot for convicted killer Joshua Phillips. Phillips is now expected to ask a judge to review his life sentence.
I am so sorry that the victim's family is having to go through this again.
That's the voice of veteran prosecutor Bernie De La Rionda. He is preparing to handle the review hearing for this case if and when it happens.
Yeah, Joshua Phillips was brought back to the Duval County Jail from Sewanee County Correctional last week.
In court documents dated last month, Phillips formally applied for a sentence review, giving a timeline of events. In the filings, Phillips writes, as of this date, defendant has completed his 25-year mandatory term and now respectfully applies for an individualized sentencing review.
The courts are still looking into this, so we will have to keep an eye on it. Maddie's family is always in court with him. More than that, though, they feel and think like they are. Back in 1998, after he was found guilty, both District Attorney Harry Shorstein and Sheriff Nat Glover said they had second thoughts about giving him a life term without the chance of parole because he was only 14. Harry said he didn't mind if he was charged as an adult or with murder in the first degree. Because the crime was so bad, they made the right choices at the time. But he said he wishes he had pleaded guilty to second-degree murder instead, which would have given the judge more freedom. He said the sentence was very harsh. If there was a good reason for executive pardon or parole, I would back it. Not to do it today, but to think again about the life sentence. Nothing stays the same after death, especially this kind of death. Everything big and small that you used to see changes. Often the quiet is too loud to hear. In her own words, Jessie said it changed her life and made her lose who she was. She said that as a child, she was a nerd who didn't want to be with the cool kids and was often picked on. But after her sister was killed, everyone was interested in her. She didn't feel like Jessie Clifton anymore. She had a sister named Maddie Clifton. She never wanted to forget that she was her sister, but she also wanted to grieve for her sister and try to grow up and become her own person. It must have been really hard. Josh's mom, Missy Phillips, went through a similar journey that brought her and Jessie together. It would be 2 years before Josh's dad, her husband, died in a car accident. Missy just wanted to get away from everyone. She spent time in Jacksonville and North Central Florida trying to change herself. However, Jessie started showing up at her house. She had a lot of the same energy as Maddie, to take the dog for a walk. At the window, she would wait for Missy to pull up with her shopping so she could run outside and help her take it all inside. Like her little sister always did, Jessie would make sure no one felt alone, even if someone looked at Missy funny as she walked by. Jessie said she was really nice and sweet. She didn't deserve what took place. I think she thinks everyone is against her. She found Maddie, which I can't even picture. It's too much for one person to handle to find out what her son did. She always sent her family a Christmas card. Before, during many of the court sessions, Sheila and Missy would sit together. She has kids. Sheila said she's a mom. Missy said, "We are both sad, but I think as mothers, we understand each other's point of view." I believe that she would do the same thing I'm doing if the roles were switched. It's too late to change. Since my son is still alive and can be saved, I have to move on and help him. Mom and Dad, Sheila and Steve, would get a divorce after 25 years of marriage. They've known each other since high school, she said. Put simply, they handled grief differently, in such a way that they couldn't stay in sync. Jessie said it was always awful getting used to taking out only 3 plates, 3 forks, and 3 knives from the cabinet instead of 4. It took her 3 years to stop picking up things in groups of 4. Then Sheila moved out because she could no longer live in the same house. For her and her dad, Jessie had to get used to putting things in pairs.
Then there's a neighbor from across the street. Josh! Hey!
Hi.
So she's across the street, and then she's also from across the street.
Knocked on his door that day to let him know she was there to be his friend. There didn't seem to be anyone else like Maddie in that small town. It was clear that she made many people happy and loved. In spite of being so young, Maddie showed that she was selfless, kind, and emotionally mature. Her only goal was to make friends with everyone. And on November 3rd, what began as such a good wish and conversation changed into the worst tragedy anyone could imagine for so many. Thank you for watching this heartbreaking case of Maddie Clifton. Her story is a painful reminder of how fragile life can be and how tragedy can strike when least expected.